so unusually productive. I guess you don't really know the answer to this for several weeks and months, right, Michael?
Well, yeah, look, the G7 communique, the joint statement, is full of lots of noble ambitions and does make some direct and pertinent points, but really there's a lot of work to be done to fulfill these ambitions. Yeah. But fundamentally, you know, there's a lot of headlines out of this G7 summit, a lot of takeaways. Now, you know, the first one is that this is potentially a significant reset of the alliance of leading liberal democracies in the world. And certainly in terms of America, as President Biden put it, America is back. Now, that's certainly been welcomed. The British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, says President Biden is a breath of fresh air. The French President Emmanuel Macron says that it's great to have a US president who's a member of the club and is very eager to cooperate. And Angela Merkel says that President Biden's election now means that the world can start looking for solutions to its problems with much more zest. Now, there's some real things here, though. As you say, on COVID, America offered 500 million doses to be donated to poorer countries. Well, the other G7 nations have matched that, so that's 1 billion doses to poorer countries. They've also agreed to work together to set up a better early warning system for these kinds of diseases and to try to build manufacturing for vaccines on all continents. But also, significantly, there was very pointed statements about China and Russia. One is that the countries vowed to ensure that the global supply chain is free of forced labour. Now, they didn't name China, but we all know who that message was meant for. The G7 nations also committed to a full-throated investigation, expert-led, science-based, into the origins of the COVID pandemic in China. Now, when it comes to Russia, these nations jointly said that Russia must stop its destabilising activities and behaviour. They said, we want a predictable and stable relationship with Russia. It also called on President Vladimir Putin to answer how and why a chemical weapon was used on his own soil. And there was even a shout out a couple of times for Australia. Because as you know, Australia, South Korea, South Africa and India were invited to the sidelines of this. And they welcomed the fact that Australia has joined them in endorsing the values of open societies and these shared values, and that Australia is an active participant in attempts to reform and modernise the international trade rule book. Look, I could go on and on about climate, human rights and other issues, but to recap, this is potentially a major reset of the Western alliances led by this new American administration.
All right. Michael Ware, we'll appreciate that. Thank you. We'll talk to you again on Wednesday.